Yeah, so I said our next topic is coordination compound, and this coordination compound, okay, you will find many application in our daily life. Okay, like in minerals, in plants and animals, they play a very important function. Like now, for example, in one of the biology question, if I ask you, which is a pigment we have in our blood which carries oxygen, the pigment which is there in our blood, which is it's a biology question, but then you have studied in your high school, so that's the reason I'm asking it. Yes, correct. No, hemoglobin. Yeah, very good. Hemoglobin is one pigment which is responsible for carrying the oxygen, correct? Yeah, so that hemoglobin which is present, okay, this hemoglobin, it's a coordination compound, okay, of iron. You can see here, center there is iron, and then they make a certain bond, okay, we call them as coordinate bond. So due to coordinate bond, it is called as coordination compounds, okay? So they make that coordinate bond with the iron over here and give rise to a huge complex which is heme. Okay, so that heme is the one which is responsible for taking the oxygen. Okay, so due to which we get the oxygenated okay, the blood, oxygenated blood carries the oxygen. That's because of this heme complex. Okay, so that is one very important application we are having. Okay, without that you are not able to take the oxygen. Okay, it will be difficult. So this is one part we are having. And another pigment, it is there in the plants, the pigment which is helpful in photosynthesis. If you remember, okay, this is again your high school topic, the pigment which is responsible for photosynthesis. You remember, for photosynthesis, where exactly photosynthesis takes place? Yes, very good, correct. So you all remember. Yeah, chlorophyll. Yes, correct. Okay, so in the plant, you remember the green color pigment which is responsible for photosynthesis is chlorophyll. Okay, so if you take a magnified a picture of it, you will be able to see these are the small patches you are able to see. No, this green color ones, they are the chlorophyll. Okay, so chlorophyll is a again a coordinate compound. Okay, it's a coordinate compound of magnesium. Magnesium is forming a coordinate bond with other organic complexes. You can see here. Okay, it's a huge complicated compound you are able to see. Okay, such big compounds you are not going to study. You will be studying a simple one. You will be just having a intro part of it, okay, in this particular chapter. So this is one more example which I have listed. Another example is vitamin B12. Okay, vitamin B12 is another complex of cobalt. Okay, so center is the cobalt, and that cobalt is forming a complex with other organic compound. Okay, so these are the coordinate compounds which is very which is very important for us to lead the life. Okay, if they are not present, I don't know how then the life would be existing. So you can see here the importance of studying this coordination compound. So before starting with, you have to start with what are inorganic salts classification. So we will start from the scratch, okay, from the beginning, and then we will go for these coordinate compounds. Okay, that is coordinate complexes we call them, or complex salts also. There are different names for it. Okay, so that I'll be telling you. So we will start with the first classification of inorganic salt, that is simple salt. Okay, so simple salt, if you remember, you had analysis of simple inorganic salt last year. Okay, you have hardly done two analysis, but then still you had a hand-on experience, no, of doing the salt analysis. So what exactly were you doing there in the lab? Do you remember what exactly you had done in the lab? You had two salt analysis, correct? You remember what was that? To find out in the lab what you are supposed to exactly find out. You were testing the ions. Yeah, correct. So if a salt is given to you, you were supposed to find out what is the cation and what is the anion present in that. Correct, no? What is a cation? That is a positive one. And the other one, what is a negative ion? So these positive ions are called as basic radical. Okay. These positive ones are called as basic radical, and the negative ones are called as acid radical. This is another name which we use in inorganic salt analysis. Okay, cations are called as basic radical and anions are called as acid radical. So this one salt which is there, it will consist of this only, one cation and one anion. Correct? Okay, good. So you all remember now what you have done in the lab. Okay, so you have in the qualitative analysis, you have just analyzed what is present exactly, that is what is a cation and what is the anion. So if a salt consists of a simple cation and the anion, or I can say a basic radical and an acid radical, then such salt is called a simple salt. Okay, like for example, if I take now magnesium sulfate, in this magnesium sulfate, magnesium ion, Mg2 plus, will be the basic radical. Okay. So this will be the basic radical, magnesium. And then you are having sulfate ion, SO4, 2 minus. That will be the acid radical. Okay. So then there is a chart. You have seen that chart you have in your manual also. Okay. There are charts which are given to you to do the systematic analysis. Okay. So simple salt means which consists of one basic and one acid radical, or I can say one cation and one anion. That will be called as simple salt. I think it's clear. It's easy to understand. Okay. The salt which contains one acid radical and one basic radical. So example I can write, you can write any salt. Okay. Any simple salt you can write. Now here magnesium sulfate I can write. Okay. So magnesium Mg2 plus is the basic radical. Yeah, correct. NaCl also. Yes, very good. Correct. SO4 2 minus is the acid radical. Okay, this basic radical is usually positively charged and acid radicals are negatively charged. Correct. NaCl also. If you're taking NaCl, in that Na plus will be the basic radical. I'll just write positive ion, and then Cl minus will be the acid radical. Okay, that is the negative ion. Yes, students. Yeah, write down now. Yeah, so that was all about simple salt. Now let's move on to the next one, that is double salt. Okay. So here is a picture. This picture is of one particular salt that is called as more salt. Okay, this salt is called as more salt, and this more salt is a combination of, okay, it is made up of it is a mixture of two salts. Okay, like you can see the name here, they have told it's double salt. So double salt, okay, it's a solution of two salts which are mixed in a definite proportion. So two salt they take in definite proportion and they mix them and make a saturated solution. This I'm telling you how they prepare in the lab. Okay, so two salts will be taken and they mix them in a definite proportion and then make a saturated solution out of it and then crystallize them. So when a saturated solution is being formed, you know that, okay, they will start forming the crystals. You remember in solution I had told you, when you have a saturated solution, they will slowly start forming the crystals. Okay, so if you have a super saturated solution, then more amount of crystallization will take place. Okay, so that's how then later that residue will be filtered, everything, and then you can get the double salt. Okay, so double salt, it's a mixture of two simple salt. Okay, so if you mix two simple salt together, then you will end up getting double salt. Okay, now example here I told you more salt. You can see a big crystal over here. It's a more salt crystal. Okay, and if you break them into pieces, you will be see this is how you are able to see them. Okay, this is there in the lab. Now whenever offline classes begin and when you come to the lab, okay, all these things you will be able to see by yourself. It's there in the lab. Okay, and you are going to use also for some analysis. You are able to use this more salt. So more salt, it's made up of now two simple salt, that is ferrous sulfate, FeSO4. Okay, ferrous sulfate is FeSO4, and then ammonium sulfate. Ammonium is NH4 twice and then SO4. Okay, and then during the formation of the crystal, they trap certain water molecules. So 6 water molecules are trapped in this. Okay, so this is more salt. So more salt is a combination of two simple salt. You can see here it is combination of ferrous sulfate. Okay, it is made up of ferrous sulfate and it is made up of ammonium sulfate. Okay, ammonium sulfate. In short, see, you can see here sulfate is getting repeated. So what they do is they just call them as ferrous ammonium sulfate. Okay, sulfate is taken common here. So ferrous ammonium sulfate, FAS. Okay, in short, we also call them as FAS, ferrous ammonium sulfate. So this is one double salt, example of one double salt. Then there is another example also I've taken here, potash alum. Okay, this you might have seen. I don't know whether everyone is familiar of this potash alum. It is used by men also. Okay, why? Because when they do shaving, yeah, after shaving sometimes there are chances, no, there will be cuts. Okay, so that cuts lead to bleeding. So this potash alum is there, no, it's an antiseptic. Yeah, so if you apply this potash alum on the skin, it will coagulate the blood. It will not allow the blood to, okay, come out. So it will help you to harden that blood. So coagulation of the blood will be done using this potash alum. Okay, so potash alum basically made up of two, again simple salt. So it is made up of potassium sulfate, K2SO4, and aluminium sulfate. Alum you can see here. Potash stands for here potassium sulfate. Alum is for aluminium. So it is made up of potassium sulfate and aluminium sulfate. So during the formation, here around 24 water molecules are trapped during the formation of this crystal. Yeah, after the shaving, they just rub this throughout their skin. Okay, because I said no, it's very good for coagulation of the blood. Even they are used in this potash alum crystals are also used in cleaning the water. If the water is muddy, okay, then they add certain this crystals or the powder of this potash alum, so it will help you to coagulate that muddy water also. All the mud will settle down at the bottom and you will see that the fresh water is there. Okay, so that's the application of this double salt. So potassium sulfate and aluminium sulfate. Okay, so that is potash alum made up of two simple salt. Okay, clear what is a double salt is? Double salt is nothing but it's a mixture of two simple salt. Okay, like here I said more salt. Now, if you are going to dissolve this particular double salt in water, then what will happen? Okay, if you dissolve this double salt in the water, then I can say here ferrous sulfate is there. Ferrous sulfate will dissociate to give you Fe2 plus ion and sulfate ion. Okay, so they will dissociate into their ions. Fe2 plus and sulfate ion. This ammonium sulfate also will dissociate to give you ammonium ion, NH4 ion, and again sulfate ion, SO4 2 minus, and then remaining that water molecules will again go into the, okay, they will go into the solution itself. So here you can see they lose their identity. Now when they are in the solid state, they are also in this form of ions only, but once you dissolve them in the water, they come out in the form of individual ions like this. Okay, and if you're going to find out, you do the test for it, you will be able to get the test for each and every ions which are present. Like if you can get the answer for sulfate test. Okay, you had the sulfate test. If you remember in your chart, you had the last group analysis, that is for sulfate. Okay, now this year when you come to the lab again, you will be doing those analysis. You will get to know, okay, how exactly sulfate analysis is done. So you will see that they answer for sulfate. If you do test for ammonium, they will answer for ammonium also. And if you do ion test, you will be able to see that they answer the ion. That means when they are dissolved in water, they come out in the form of their individual ions. They answer the test for each and every ions there. Okay, so that means they have lost their identity here. Okay, they are not intact. They don't present like ferrous sulfate. Now they are not intact. They are just in the form of ions, and as you dissolve them, they answer the test for each and every ions. Okay, so that is about double salt. Yes, students, now you can make a note of this. Yes, now we'll go for the next one. Okay, that is a complex salt, also called as coordination entity. Okay, this is our important topic, no, because you are studying about the coordination compound. Okay, you can also call them as coordination compounds. Okay, now what is the difference between this coordination compound and the normal salt what you have studied? So in this complex salt, what you find is there is a metal. Okay, so you will find the center there is a metal, and this metal is surrounded by many negative ions. Okay, it can be negative ions, remember. Okay, like now see, normally if I take a simple salt, you have one cation and then you will find one anion attached to it. In this case, in the complex salt case, though, you will find one metal is there and then you will find many negative ions are surrounding them. Okay, but it can be negative ions or it can be even neutral molecule. Okay, it is not compulsory that it has to be negative ions. Okay, so whichever is attached over here, I will label them as X. Okay, just because I'm just writing the general formula here. So this I will take as X here. So you will find there is a metal, and to the metal you find many negative ions which are associated with it. Okay, and this negative ions which are associated, no students, they have a particular geometry also. Okay, there is a particular geometry as well which is present for this. Now this goes according to your chemical bonding. If you remember, there is if there is 2 bond, then what is the geometry? If there is 3 bond, then what is geometry? If 4 are there, if 5 are there, and if 6 are there. Okay, so then that geometrical shape I will discuss later. But now just for you all to know, okay, what I said just now is, in this complex salt you will find there is a metal. Okay, so there is a metal which is present in the center, and then they are bind with many negative ions. Okay, negative ions which are surrounding them, or this can be even neutral molecules. Okay, this X can be ions, okay, negative ions, or it can be even neutral molecules. Okay, and they will be held by a particular bond that is called as coordinate bond. Okay, this will be held by a particular bond that is called as coordinate bond, not normal ionic or covalent bond. It's a different bond now which is present. Okay, this also I will tell you later. Okay, in detail I will be talking about this. Now just for you to tell you what is complex salt, I just defined here. Okay, so complex salt is where you have a metal in the center and this metal is surrounded by many negative ions. Okay, this looks very complicated. No, you can see here many negative ions are present, and then there is a particular geometry also for these ions or the neutral molecules. So that's the reason why they were called as complex salt, or it is also called as coordination entity or coordination compound. Okay, and one more reason for them to be called as coordination compound is because the bonding which is present between them, it's a coordinate bond. Okay, not normal ionic or covalent bond. I believe you remember what is ionic bond and what is covalent bond. Correcto? You remember what is ionic bond? Ionic bond is formed by complete transfer of electrons. One is giving and one is taking. Correct? And in the next case, covalent bond is formed by sharing of electrons. That is covalent bonding. Okay, now this one is a coordinate bond. I will tell about this later. I will tell you. Okay, it's also called as coordinate covalent bond. There is another name, coordinate covalent bond also. Okay, so that is about the complex salt. Now I will take one example. Now in this complex salt, what happens? For example, now if I have this particular complex, okay, K4FeCN6. Okay, this is one complex salt. Usually now if you take a double salt, what you have found is the double salt will break down into all of their ions and they will answer the test. Okay, now if you take this complex salt and dissolve in the water, okay, now I am taking this complex salt, I will put in the water. Okay, so what they have found is this particular complex salt is there, no, they dissociate. See, how are they dissociating? Now this will break down. You can see here potassium, 4 potassium is present. Okay, that means when you dissolve this in the water, it will give you 4 K plus ion. And this 4, how it has come, students? This is basically the charge of this particular, okay, entity. This you can see in the square bracket. This 4 has come from that square bracket only. Okay, so that square bracket is carrying 4 minus charge. If I have to break and write this, this is how it will be, no? See, Fe in the form of ion, if I have to write FeCN6, this whole complex is carrying 4 minus charge. So to neutralize that 4 minus charge, 4 potassium ions have joined together. Okay, so when you cross and write, you get like that, no, K4FeCN6. Okay, so when you put them into the water also, they will dissociate like that. So this 4 potassium ion will come out plus this FeCN6. Okay, FeCN6, 4 minus charge will come up. Okay, now further, if you are expecting that this will dissociate into the water, that doesn't happen. Okay, so what is found is this particular complex is there, no, this is a complex. Okay, this is our coordination entity. This particular one which is present, you can see here center there is a metal and then they are surrounded by 6 Cn. This is 6 Cn negative ions are there, so that is surrounding the ion over here, Fe. Okay, so Fe is surrounded by 6 Cn and that further does not dissociate. Okay, so that means the bond which is present between them, it's a strong bond which is not able to be broken by the water molecules. Okay, so that is called as a complex. So further, they don't dissociate to give you Fe2 plus ion and cyanide ion. So if you are expecting them to answer the test, they will not answer the test. They will give you only answer for potassium. Okay, they don't give you any answer for Fe and they don't give you any answer for Cn. If you do the salt analysis, inorganic salt analysis, that means here ion is tightly bound with the cyanide ion, making a complex. Okay, so then such compounds which does not dissociate further and stay intact like that, those are called as coordination compound. Okay, and the bonding between them is little more stronger, not, it was not able to be broken by the water molecules. Okay, so such complex are called as complex salt or coordination compound. So you can write down now what are complex salt or coordination compound. A compound where you have a central metal atom. Okay, it contains a central metal atom or the ion, it can be even ion also, surrounding by fixed number of molecules or ions. Okay, like I gave you an example just now, K4 This can be one example you can write down. K4 FeCN6. Okay, this is one example where you can see this is the complex part. Okay, this is our complex part. Since that complex carries negatively charged, so due to which that negative ion attracts the positive ion towards them. Okay, so you can see this potassium ion got attracted towards it and they are forming this particular compound here, K4FeCN6. Another example I've given here, you can see here CO cobalt. It's a cobalt complex. Okay, it is in this way, cobalt CO Cl3, and then we are having NH3 ammonia 3. Okay, in this way. So you can see here this cobalt is surrounded by 3 chloride ion and 3 ammonia ion. So this is also a coordination entity. If you break them and if you like dissolve this into the water, they won't dissociate because it's there in the bracket. Okay. Usually if they are in the complex form, we write them in the square bracket. Okay. So this whole thing will not dissociate. Neither you will get cobalt ion, nor you will get chloride ion, nor you will find ammonia ion. Okay. So they don't answer any chloride test. Neither they will answer you any ammonia test. Neither they will give you answer for the cobalt. Okay. That means they are intact together. They are combined together and they are forming a complicated compound, okay, which is called as complex. So this will be your second example. Yes, we'll continue now. Okay, now see, you have learned about double salt and you understood what is a coordination compound. Let's see what are the difference between both. See, now if you are talking about the double salt, the first one, this double salt, they exist in the solid state, okay? But if you put them into the water, what happens is they will come out in the form of ions, okay? So they will be present in the form of ions in their aqueous solution. Or suppose if that particular salt gets dissolved in any other solvent, so they will be present in the form of ions, okay? So I can write that first one, okay? First difference I can write double salt. Okay, double salt exist only in solid state. Okay, so they exist in solid state and dissociate. They will dissociate into ions in aqueous solution. Okay, aqueous solution. Like now, for example, that more salt which I gave you. Okay, now for example, if you take that ferrous sulfate and ammonium sulfate, no? This was the salt. When you dissolve them, what are you getting? You are getting ferrous ion, you are getting sulfate ion, SO4 2 minus, then you are getting ammonium ion. Okay, again sulfate ions from this also. So you are getting them in the form of ions. They don't exist in the solid state once you dissolve them in the water. So that is the meaning of this. Okay. So double salt, you can find them in the form of that double salt only in the solid state. But you put them into the water, they are just in the form of their ions. So that's the reason why they answer all this test, because they are present in their individual ions, they go and answer the test. Okay. Whenever particular compound is added to it. So that is about the first difference, okay, of the double salt, first point of the double salt. Let's go for this coordination compound now. See, this coordination compound speciality is they don't dissociate, okay. That particular complex is there, no, they remain intact. So I can write this first one, they exist in the solid state as well as when they dissolve in the water also, okay. So that will be the first difference. So understand the difference between the double salt and this coordination compound. Okay, so coordination compound, I'll just write CC, okay, here. Coordination compound exist in the solid state as well as when dissolved in water or any other solvent, okay, or any other solvent. When dissolved in water or any other solvent, also they will remain intact. Like, see, this was the salt which I gave you that time for coordination compound K4 FeCN6. Okay, this is the complex part of it, FeCN6. Now, if you are going to put them into the water, okay, you will get this. Don't see that outer ion getting dissociated. That is not the complex part. Okay, that has just got attracted because this particular complex is carrying some charge. So if the complex carries a negative charge over here, we will see that the positive ion comes. If the complex carries a positive charge, you will see a negative ion getting attracted. So just because of the charge, they are getting attracted. It has nothing to do here. Okay, they are not forming any coordinate bond. Coordinate bond is only present between this ion and cyanide. So we have put them in the bracket. Okay, so you will be able to see that. So whenever you see something in the bracket, that means it's a complex. Okay. So if you put this into the water, you will see they give you this 4 potassium ion, and this FeCN6 still remain intact like that only. So in the solid state also it was like this. In the solution also they will be remaining as it is. Okay. So they don't dissociate. That's what we mean here. So coordination compound exists in the solid state as well as when they are dissolved in water. I believe the first point is clear to everyone. If you have anything to ask, you can ask me now. In this one point, first point, do you have anything to ask? Followed, no? Yes, okay. Everyone? Okay. See, if you respond only, then I will get to know. So when I ask some question, it's for all the students who are present in the class. Yeah, I believe it is clear. So double salt dissociates to give you ions. Coordinate compounds will not dissociate. They remain intact like that. Okay. So that is the first one. Now, second one I can say here, this double salt which is there, they lose their identity, in the solution. See, initially they were in the solid state, but when you put them into the water, they come out in the form of their ions. Okay, so they lose their identity in the solution. They are dissociating, in the form of their ions. So we can write that as a second point. Okay, they lose their identity in solution. Okay, that will be the second point for double salt. Now over here what happens, they don't completely lose their identity in the solution. You saw this complex, okay, they remain intact like that only this potassium ion has gone that side because that was the counter ion, which was the, yeah, they don't completely dissociate. Okay, only this potassium ion will go out. This whole complex part will remain as it is. So I can write they don't completely lose their identity in the solution. Okay, so I can write that they do not completely, yeah, partially they will lose. They do not completely lose their identity in solution. Yeah, that is the second point. I think it's clear. Okay. And then the third one is the properties of the double salt is there. No, that is essentially same as whatever is there for the constituent compound. Like whatever compounds property was there, same property you will find for these ions after dissociating also. Okay, so it's the same. There is no much difference. So I can write the properties. The properties of double salt are same as those of constituent compound. Okay, it is same as constituent compound, whereas here the properties of coordinate compounds are different from the constituent ion. Here this side, the properties of coordination compound are different from the constituents. Okay, why they are saying this, I will explain this. See, the properties of the coordinate compounds are different from the constituent ion because this particular complex which is there, they are not answering any test. No, you can, I told you this doesn't give you answer for Fe ion, neither they give you answer for cyanide ion. So that means whatever constituent ions are present, their properties are different, and when they form a complex, that time the properties are little different. Okay, so I can't say that their properties are exactly similar to this ions property. Okay, because if the properties were similar, they should have given the answer for the test, but they are not giving the answer. That means what? The iron and the cyanide over here, okay, this iron, that is ferrous, and the cyanide ions, they are not free over here, and they are still, because they are still bounded to one another through a coordinate bond, so their properties are different than compared to the normal ions. Whereas here in the double salt, what happens? Whatever ions are present, same ions you are getting in the solution also. Okay, and they show you the answer whatever you are expecting. It's like if you're expecting that I will get the answer for iron, you will get the answer for iron. Like if I take that more salt, you will get answer for iron, you will get answer for ammonium. Whereas here it is not like that. You see the compound there, and if you're expecting over there, if you are expecting the answer for iron, you don't get the answer for iron here, neither you are getting the answer for cyanide. So we say the properties of coordination compounds are different from their constituent, whereas here it's the same. Okay, whatever you are expecting, same answer you are getting. That means the properties are similar. If you don't get that answer, that means their properties are different. That means there is something else happening there. There is a bonding which is taking place, due to which they don't give you the answer. Okay, so that will be the next. 3 differences are enough. Yeah, constituent compounds, the original compound what you have taken. Okay, the original compound is made up of, like in the more salt. Okay, in the more salt case, this original compound is made up of what? You are having iron, you are having sulfate, ammonium and sulfate. Okay, after dissociating also, you are getting iron, sulfate and ammonium, and they give you the answer for each and everything. So that means their properties are similar to whatever constituents are there in the solid state. No, whereas here it is not like that. We have the ions, okay, here, that is potassium ion is there, you are having Fe and you are having cyanide. So if you are expecting the answer for Fe and cyanide, you don't get. You will get answer only for this potassium. So property got changed, no, there. Okay, yes. Now make a note of this, students.